Yeah.
All right, here we go. Welcome, welcome. Come on in, everybody. I know that you are just as excited as I am about our incredible guests that we have on this call this evening. I'm going to open up the chat. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from and who's excited. Put me in the chat if you are excited. I am sure excited. We're going to mute all really quick just to keep it nice and quiet. And for those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Christy, and it looks like a lot of you guys are excited. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so good evening. We're going to get started because I don't want to waste a second of time, and I don't want to take away any time from this incredible man that I know that has probably impacted your life if you're new to this industry. Maybe you've never heard of him before, but I just promise you that after this call, he's going to be one of your most favorite humans, as he is mine, and you're going to learn so much from him this evening. So, before we dive in, I just want to take a moment to give a huge shout out to the woman who made this happen tonight, Christy Malone. So, can you guys all just say thank you to her, give her some hearts? And it's truly because of her leadership, you guys, and her vision that we have this opportunity tonight. So, Christy, thank you so much for opening the door for all of us. And now let's talk a little bit about our guest. And again, for those of you guys that do not know, the amazing Ray Higdon is literally here with us in the house. You guys, he has been one of the most impactful mentors that I've ever had in this industry. I've read almost all of his books, every single one that he's written. I've studied his trainings for years. And more importantly, I've applied what he teaches because it works, right? Because it works. Ray doesn't just motivate you guys, he literally moves people into action. And that's my hope and my wish for you guys tonight. He teaches the kind of strategy that makes you uncomfortable in the best way possible. And his coaching has helped thousands of people. You guys turn this industry into a real income. And not just real income, but real purpose as well. I'm almost muting at the same time. And really, truly change people's lives. You guys, we've got the Philippines here. How exciting is that? This is pretty exciting. We just launched today, by the way. And tonight, you guys, we get him live. So this is how this is going to work. This will be an interactive Q&A. So any questions that you guys have, I want you to write them down. As soon as they pop into your head, write them down. Okay. So if there's something that you've been struggling with, maybe there's something that you're stuck on, maybe there's something that you're curious about. This is your moment. This is your moment. So what you're going to do is you're going to raise your hand because we know that we're going to have a lot of people asking questions. You're going to use the raise hand feature on Zoom, and I'll bring you up one by one. Don't be shy. Okay. We're all a family here. And if you guys have a question on your mind, it's probably on someone else's too. All right. Okay. So, Christy, is there anything that you want to add?
Yes. So I just want to say thank you, Ray, so much. I feel like Christy and I were talking about when we first got on, it's almost like being starstruck. You know, we have a celebrity in the house. And for me, like, and all of you that are thanking me, you're welcome. But listen, here it is. It's like God. We need to thank God for this. For those of you that saw me at convention in March, it was the hardest, lowest time of my entire life. I was like not myself. It was hard. Well, if you do the math, right? March was not that long ago, and I am back and better, and it is because of Ray. And I don't even know if Ray knows all this, but like I am a total stalker. Like this, when Christy talks about the books, this is my nightstand, you guys. I mean, I have sent you, some of you, this book. We're all of us have this book, right? And it is really this book, God, Ray, Graham Cook, the app that we're in every single day, that has made this happen because one, Ray has a servant heart, a true servant heart, and he is so genuine, so authentic, and provides value. And so even if you guys just tune in to the live he does, to the post, to his new YouTube channel, or read his book, you're going to find that the value he provides is so great that your life begins to change if you put it into place. And so then, of course, if you become a rank maker and dive in and do all the things. And So, anyways, thank you, Ray. I just feel so extremely blessed. I heard God's voice over this book, and so I bought a whole bunch of them. And this put me in the room with him. And Ray said, "Hey, if any of you want to do a team call, just let me know." I was like, "What? Are you kidding?" And so, really, that's why we're here. I'm sorry, I'm picking up the wrong book. This book. Um, but that's why we're here. So you are welcome. But thank you, Ray. I don't want to waste any time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask the
Wow.
first question though. Can I do that?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
man,
So
I just want to say, I mean, you guys have built me up so much. I feel like it's only downhill from here or something. Thank you, both of you. That was amazing. I need to bring you around with me when I'm speaking in places, but yes, I'm honored to be on here. Thank you so much. You guys are way too kind.
okay, I love that because isn't that the what's the term for that? You know, where you follow the band around like that. That would be me and Christy. You take us. We're there. Um, so yeah. So Ray, I think one of the biggest. I can't even say the biggest, right? But you being so real and authentic about being in the hardest times of your life through foreclosure and debt and then just having that, enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of this. I'm going to do something and start doing the hard things to get where you are now. And then the faith piece too. Like I'm all about that. So I love hearing that part and like co-laboring with God, which I know is even new, like wasn't even happening
Yeah.
then. But I know like I've already shared with you like this really dark time I went through recently, but I
Mm.
know there are a lot of people on our teams that are going through hard times right now. And it is just amazing how much that can just freeze us and just, when you're in it, you feel like you can't work or talk to people or any of that. And so I would love to hear what kind of advice you could have for all those people that really want this and they have a good heart and care for people, but they just don't feel like they can function.
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest advice I can share, and my last, you mentioned, faith. So it was almost 3 years ago, I found the Lord, and didn't grow up in the church, didn't know one verse, didn't know any of that. And I was very new age, did a lot and I'm not judgmental. I'm like we're all on our journey, right? And so everything changed for me, 2.5 years ago, and that's last year I wrote the first book you mentioned, The Faith-Driven Network Marketer, and then this year I wrote Faith-Driven Wealth. And so if you had asked me this question a couple years ago, I'd have a very different answer. But the answer that I believe is the best answer is to stop staring at your situation and turn to the Lord. And there's I read a lot of, I love the Bible. I'm in it every day. But I read different versions, so like there's one, it's Matthew 5, 3, and 4 in the Message Bible. And it says, "You're blessed when you're at the end of your rope because there's less of you and more of God." And so sometimes we get to a place where we are like, I don't know what to do. And sometimes that is the time that we finally turn to him and start to trust him. And so I would just encourage you that whatever situation that you're in, there's a few questions that you can ask. And he does want to talk to you. The Bible tells us that when ye lack wisdom, ask will be given to you liberally and without reproach. And so I remember hearing an interview with a guy named David Green, who I had the opportunity to meet and I spent a little bit of time with, but he's the founder of Hobby Lobby. And so, he, as a kid, he dreamed of being a dime store manager because that would have made him the most successful guy in his family. But instead, he launches Hobby Lobby that does 8 billion a year. They have 44,000 employees, 1,055 stores, and they actually donate over 50% of profits every year to charity. And so last year they suspect, because it's not a public company, but they suspect he gave away $750 million last year. And so I heard him in an interview say, "My life changed when I turned every major and minor decision over to God." And I'm like, well, if it works for him, like maybe I'll do that too. And so I just started praying on everything and asking, seeking wisdom in everything that I do. And so the problem is that if we just stare at the situation, then who's greater, God or the situation? Well, we make the situation God. We make our foreclosure God. We make our paying late bills God. We make, the invoices God. We make the diagnosis God. We make everything else God but God. And so it's, in that tough situation, it's turn to him and ask a few questions. Ask, what am I to learn from this? What am I to do about this? Right? What do you have to say about this? And it's something that, you mentioned him actually, but one of my mentors, I was just on live with him an hour ago. But one of my mentors, Graham Cook, he says, with God, you can't fail a test, but you get an unlimited amount of tries to pass. And so I can look back over my life and I see all these different things that I went through that, I learned eventually, from all of them, maybe a little slower than some, but I learned from them. And so, went from that, what you were mentioning, that foreclosure, dead broke, went through a divorce, $1 million in debt. Sometimes people will come up to me and say, Ray, man, you don't understand, I'm 30,000 in debt. I'm like, oh, good for you. That's so cute. 30,000. And and so yeah, I was over a million debt twice, two different times I was over a million in debt. And but I went from there to the number one income earner of a network marketing company, and I've since now trained, quite a few number one earners in different companies. And so, know that you're never too far gone. You're never too far, buried. There's always, and I would say something that I've learned fairly recently is that in every situation, an upgrade is possible. In every situation, an upgrade's possible. And so you want to look to, you want to be aware of the situation, but you want to turn to God. What am I to learn? What do you think about this? What am I to do about this? And it's interesting because some things that previously would have really stressed me out, when I prayed about them, I got, don't do anything. And they went away. It was amazing. I've had several things that just, okay, this one's not going away, but you're telling me not to do anything and it went away. And so it's just it's just been amazing. I would just encourage you, don't stare at the circumstance. Turn to him. He loves you. He wants to help you. He'll never leave you or forsake you. And turn to him sooner, and you'll be shocked at how you get out of that situation.
I love it. Thank you. I know that was really helpful for so many on here. And after I said it, I listened to you, I got to thinking, I'm sorry, guys, I came out the gate like with the heavy thing, but I just know, like I hear from people, it's challenging, or it can be challenging. So I hope this has been really helpful for everybody that's in that situation, or if the situation arises, right? It's like we never know what's going to come down the road, but so, Christy, I think you have a question too. We were
I do.
chatting.
I do have a
Great.
question. So I'll put you back, but Christy, I'll bring you back up if you've got some more questions as well. So Ray, you've been in 11 network marketing companies. Is that my
I didn't
understanding?
say successful in 11, but yeah, probably 11.
So
Yeah.
yeah, 11 network marketing companies. And so this one's only my third. I'm actually consider myself a newbie in the industry. I've only been doing this for 9 years.
And
And
11 shouldn't be the goal, by the
no,
way,
no, no.
right? Yeah, yeah, okay.
But how do you stay positive when there are maybe changes in the industry, or maybe you feel like your team has disappeared, and right, and you've got almost like that, oh, I'm starting all over kind of a feeling. Like, how do you keep going? How do you stay positive?
Yeah, so I'll give you I'll give you two answers to that. One is the best, and I talk about this in my leadership book, but it's um, the best thing you can do for your team is build a new one. And I know that may sound harsh or something, or what I'm not saying, don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying ignore your existing. That's how some people take it. Well, I like my team, Ray. I'm not saying that. Love your team, but go build a new one. And so the best thing that your team can see is you bringing new blood into the organization, not your Braveheart speech, not your miracle speech, not your amazing, you know, motivational pitch. You doing the work you wish they were doing. And so I'll tell you, a quick story. So I was in a company, and I know a lot more now than I did back then. But I was in this company, and I had, I'd brought in maybe, I don't know, 43, 45 people, something like that. And I was finishing up the fourth month, and I brought in personally, maybe 44, 43, 45, something like that. And, um, and I had about 34 left. And so that doesn't sound very good, right? You do the math. I haven't duplicated. I've lost some. And I just stayed focused. I just kept focused on new blood, new blood, new blood, new blood. At the end of month four, I bring in this guy who's a rock star. He personally recruits 290 people in the next 90 days. And our buy-in, by the way, was a minimum 500 bucks. Minimum 500. 500 was the low, right? You could also get $1,000 option. And so he puts in 290 people, becomes my number one earner, just rocks it. But what I didn't expect, which is why I believe the best thing you can do for your team is build a new one, is several of the people that had come on board during that first 4 months didn't get inspired by me. They got inspired by him. And several of them, I think three or maybe four, went on to become six-figure earners. And so if I had taken a snapshot at 4 months, I looked terrible. Like that's not good. By the way, I went on to become the number one income earner of that company. And so I went from zero to 10,000 my fifth month, 10,000 a month my fifth month, 40,000 a month my seventh month, 50,000 a month my 10th month, and just kept going, 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 made millions with that company. And that's what built my brand and got me on all kinds of different stages, et cetera. But if you look at the beginning, it didn't look great. It did not look great at all. And so it's something that so long as you believe in what you're selling, so long as you believe in the product service opportunity, I know what you guys have is amazing. I've done a lot of work with Brianna, I think you guys know. And and so as long as you believe in what it is that you're doing, stop requiring your people to be doing anything right now. Just because they're not doing anything right now doesn't mean that's forever. I had a lot of people. I mean, I had this one lady out of England, Linda. I mean, she was in for 2 years before she got her first customer, and she was so inspiring. Like a lot of people got really inspired by her story. It's amazing. And so don't what your people are doing should absolutely not dictate your motivation. So keep going. I remember talking to I was in a company, and they did this thing where it's probably too long of a story, but when you hit a certain rank, which was about $1 million, they would gift you another leg. You could build another leg, right? And so I remember talking to one of the guys, and they had built four of these legs, and so this fourth one, I said, "Hey, how's it going with the new build?" Because they're building a new leg. And he was like, "Oh man, it's going really, really well. We've brought in over 60 people, and none of them are doing anything, so it's going to pop any minute." See, most people, if they brought in 60 people and they weren't doing anything, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm a loser. What's wrong with me?" They just knew the game. They've been at it for a long time. They knew that it's just math. It's just at some point it pops and someone goes bananas and it fires up a bunch of the people above. And so it's something that you just can't base your motivation on anything external. It's got to be I believe that this serves people and helps people, so I'm going to go after it. The second part that I would add to this is every week, today's Monday, every Monday I do a journal, a prayer journal. And so I write down the different projects and some of the clients that I work with, some of the companies that I work closer with. I write down some of the companies, some of the projects. I have some personal, columns that I use. And my prayer used to be, Lord, what should I do about this? And sometimes I would get guidance, but I learned to ask a different question. And this question was just, it's just made me so free. And that is, Lord, what are you doing? See, people don't ask that question. Lord, what are you doing? And what I found is there were certain projects that he was growing. There were certain projects that he was positioning. There were certain projects that he was attracting the right people. And so have now having that discernment of, okay, this is what he's doing this week for this project. I didn't get upset when the one thing didn't grow or the one thing grew but the other one didn't. Like, he told me. And so it's a really powerful practice, of finding out, Lord, what are you doing? And what I also found out is there were some projects he wasn't doing anything. And I'm like, well, should I be doing them? No. Oh, okay. And so, it's funny. I remember one Monday, this is quite a while, this was probably early this year. Um, I got nudged to step away from five different projects. And I thought all five of them, it was just going to be rough. Like they're going to be mad, they're going to be upset, they have expectations. And I go and do it, and it was so easy and so wonderful. And all it did was free up my time. And it was just so like, that's the wisdom that I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have that. I assumed it would go bad, but it didn't. It just freed up my time. And that's one of the things that he's helped me create is freedom. I love what I do. I love every single minute of my work day, and that's really thanks to prayer.
I love that. And I wrote that down. Lord, what are you doing? If everyone write that down, it's so simple, yet it's so powerful at the same time. And on that note, I would love to know, like, what are your daily habits, like your non-negotiables, that you recommend to someone that's trying to go fast? They want to go fast. They want to see the results. They've got big goals here. What would be like, what does their day look like?
Yeah, right now, today we kicked off the 10 extra sales challenge. And so, one thing that I would encourage people to do is ask yourself, who would I need to be to get 10 times the results? Now, how most people are operating is they're operating from a what do I need to do to get two times the results? Because two times the results just means doing more. I got to do more, 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 more. 10 times you go like, I don't know if I can do more to get 10, right? It's you have to think differently. You have to think about things like collaboration. For example, in the network marketing company I was the number one income earner of, I would team up with people who ran big events. So I remember teaming up with this real estate investor guy. His company was doing $20 million a year. And I told him, I'm like, hey, you do these events, put me in the worst, 30 minutes of your event. I'll pitch the audience. We'll get 10% of them. I'll build you a check. And I knew that everyone that attended his events paid anywhere from $2,000 to $20,000. So these are high end individuals. And so sure enough, he put me on the very last slot on Sunday. People are like rolling their suitcases to the back, and I got to pitch them on my network marketing company. And I did. I closed over 10%. Would get them in, would train them, would work with them, would travel and help them, and got to meet some really high end people. See, that's collaboration. That's a 10x kind of mindset, right? I brought in one guy. This you guys will like this. So this one guy, he was in commercial insurance, and so before I go on stage, he was like, "Hey, you're a speaker?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a speaker." And he's like, "What are you speaking on?" And I kind of explained it a little bit. I don't explain too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I explain a little bit, and he goes, "Is that network marketing?" And I'm like, "Why do you ask?" Because I don't know what his response is. He goes, "Because I've always liked the idea, and no one's ever prospected me." I'm like, oh, yes, network marketing, man. And so he came on board. He lived in Charlotte, and built a nice team with him. It was great. And so, but like collaboration. I brought in I know for you guys, it'd be a little bit different, but in my first network marketing company, I was in a juice company and I brought in a bunch of nightclubs. I brought in a bunch of restaurants. They were serving the juice. They were making alcoholic drinks from them. They were doing all kinds of stuff. But I mean, I had one restaurant down the road. They were going through $1,000 a week. They're going through 48 bottles a week of this stuff. And so like, how can you think bigger? And so how can you think like health spas, or how can you think, tanning salons, or whatever, right? Whatever would make sense. And so you have to think differently around 10x. Now, I do suggest a baseline, right? Have like a baseline of, okay, I'm going to do at minimum this. And that really depends on what are your goals? You know, a great question is, what can, first of all, you have to identify what your goals are. Okay. So once you identify those goals, then you ask the question, what can I do each day that would make success inevitable? So if my goals are here, what could I do each day that it would just be ridiculous to think that it was even in the realm of possibility that this daily routine doesn't hit these goals? And so for me, I wanted to be a top earner. I'd lost everything in real estate. I was wiped out. I wanted to be a top earner in the company. I actually didn't know I would be able to even become the number one incomer, but that's what happened. And so I set a goal. I want to be a top earner in this company. What would that look like? And I read a book called Go for No, and since we wrote a book called Go for No for network marketing. And so I figured if I do a video a day and I go for 20 no's a day, man, I feel like that will do it. I feel like it'll do it. And so I did, and that's where I got those numbers, right? 5 months, 10,000, 7 months, 40,000, 10 months, 50,000, and on and on and on and on. Now, I've taught that for years. To my knowledge, I'm sure some people have done it and never told me, but there were three people that came back to me and said, Ray, I did your 20 no's a day for 6 months. All three became $1 million earners. All three. And so it's and nowadays it was a little different. So I was doing this, back in 2009. Nowadays, it's a little different because you have short videos, you have live videos, you have reels. And so if you had big goals, then I would first of all adopt a 10x mindset. How can I get leverage? How can I get collaboration? How can I get in front of an influencer? What can I do to make them want to work with me? So that would be part of the mindset. But as far as just logistical, okay, what to do, I would come up with a what is a no goal? And a no goal, some people that may sound funny, like a no goal. I want a yes goal. Well, you can't dictate to your S's. There were days, there were weeks I got nothing but no's. But then there were days where I got 5 yeses in a row. And so you can't dictate your yeses. You have no idea, but you can dictate your no's. You ask more people, you're going to get no's. And so a combination of, okay, what's my video strategy? If I was doing a video strategy right now, which I am. I mean, I do a lot of videos, but I would be doing like a live video a day. I would be doing 2 to 3 reels a day, and I'd be going for a certain number of no's depending on your goals. But I would take that, but still have a 10x mindset. Okay, who are the athletes or celebrities or game-changing influencers, or who's the small business owners, or like what is going to get me there faster? And I wouldn't exclusively rely on that, but I would have it a part of the mix.
Amazing. Boom. I hope you guys are taking notes on that. So I've got notes if you don't. Kathy, I saw you taking notes. All right, we've got a lady with Andrea with her hand up. I'm going to put her over here, add a spotlight.
No, not on the spotlight.
No, you're on
Spotlight.
spotlight, you
The hot
gorgeous,
seat.
gorgeous girl. All
Oh,
right,
goodness.
ask away.
Okay. Hi, Ray.
Hey.
I'm a big fan. I'm currently
Oh,
doing my second 5-day challenge with you,
nice.
and
And this
I'm
one's
reading.
totally different. I've never done this one. This is brand
Okay,
new.
good. And I'm
The
reading your book,
10x.
and I
Which
listened to your
book?
lives, Faith-Driven Wealth, thanks to
Okay.
Christy Malone.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, in this business, most of us are trying to reach a goal of team leader, which means we have a team and pretty much lead the team and support them. What are some specific things we can do when we onboard our team, especially with pacing, everyone's different with pacing and their level knowledge of technology and such. How can we support these people, especially when they're MIA for a while? So if you could speak to that, that would be really great.
Yeah. So, it's I talk a lot about that in the leadership book. And first of all, it's understand culture, and the way that I define culture is allowing someone to feel good regardless of their level of desire or level of result. And so too often a team will apply too much pressure and they'll chase the person off because the person feels like a disappointment. And so for me, I honestly, and this, I don't know how this will sound, I didn't care if they got into action or not. What I did care about is that they felt welcomed. And if they felt welcomed and they felt like I was grateful for them, I found they stuck around. And the longer they stick around the campfire, the more likely they'll catch a spark. And so it's my job to bring things that will bring them hope. So I would share stories and what my least favorite story. And if I have to share this kind of story, I have to dig to kind of offset it. I hated sharing fast success stories. Hated it because a lot of times you share that, hey guys, look at Jane. She hit $10,000 her first month. Come on, suckers. Like you would never say it that way, but it feels that way to people. And they're like, oh, good for you, Jane, golf clap, right? And so I hated sharing that kind of story. If I did, I would get with Jane and be like, okay, what have you been through? You got to share with me what's childhood trauma you've been through. Like what's some things that we can take so people can relate with you because they can't relate with you being the fast goal achiever. And so I preferred slow success stories or even small success stories. So I mentioned like one of our most listened to team calls was Linda, who was in for 2 years before she got her first customer. That gave so many people hope. They're like, oh my God, oh, there's hope. Let me tell you one story I just love. One of my students, so it's lady Amy Murphy. She was in the network marketing space for 17 years, had never made more money than she spent. Okay. That's not great. Not great. She gets into my training, starts utilizing her social media training. She becomes $1 million earner in her company. In fact, in the last company she was with, she made over $5 million, retired her husband. She's now pursuing an acting career. And so anyone that has struggled for 17 years or less can get extremely motivated by her story. And so, culture, okay, allowing people to feel good regardless of their level of desire or level of result. So if someone's not fired up, someone's not showing up, any of that stuff, I'm not berating them. I'm not like, hey, how's it going? Right? Because how that's translated is when you going to do something, mama needs a new pair of shoes. And so I'm not calling them saying, hey, how's it going? What I can do though, because I can reach out to them, but I need to structure it in a way where it doesn't seem like it's personal. I know that sounds weird, but like when someone who's not performing and the leader reaches out to them, they're on the other end thinking, oh man, they're disappointed in me. And most of us got plenty of feeling like disappointments from our parents. We won't pay for it. No one will continue to pay for something they feel like a disappointment. So I want to do my very best to never make someone feel like a disappointment. So instead of saying, hey, how's it going? Which translates to when you going to do something, I may call them and say, hey, don't know if you saw it or not, or even interested, but we got a new challenge going on. If you'd like to run with it, I'm letting the whole team know. Let me know. I'm happy to chat with you if you want. And if not, totally cool. So now it seems like, oh, that was more of an obligatory call. He's just, but what I'm doing is I'm dropping little seeds there to see if they want to run with me, to see if they want to go. Or if you have, hey, we just launched in the Philippines. I don't know if you know anyone over there. If you do, awesome. Happy to chat with them. If not, totally cool. We love you. See, it's like, oh, he's just making his rounds. He's making the obligatory call. He's not calling me out. And so that's, one of the answers. And the second is the best thing you can do for your team is build a new one. And so go keep having the talk. I saw a very widely known trainer. He said, the truth is you spend more time chasing your teammates than prospects. And okay, that may be true for people. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, right? You need to, when someone, now on the flip side, this doesn't mean that you leave everyone, right, to their own and good luck, guys. It's when someone raises their hand. When someone says, hey, I want to run, I want to make it happen. You say, okay, cool. Okay, go do this, report back in. See, that's very duplicatable. You tell them, go do this, report back in. So your go do this could be watch the onboarding. It could be prospect two people. It could be post a video. It could whatever it is that's going to move them along. It's not going to make them a rock star instantly, but it's going to move them in the right way. Report back in. Now they also can lead that way. They can tell people go do this, report back in. And so, what's not duplicatable is you getting on a phone with someone and teaching them for 45 minutes. It's not recorded. They can't replay it. They're not going to remember it. They'll thank you. They'll say, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. They'll hang up the phone and be like, I never want to be her. I don't want to be answering these schmucks for 45 minutes on my phone. I got kids. And so you think that you're serving them, you're actually sabotaging them. And so when I figured that out pretty early on, I created video libraries where if they came to me and said, "Well, hey, how do I cold message?" I'd say, "Oh, that's a great question. We actually have a video in our library. Just go over there, watch it. It'll walk you right through it, and you can pause it, replay it. And when you have someone in your team ask you that question, you can send them right over to that too. And so very duplicatable. And so does that help? Does that make sense?
Yes, I love the duplicatable as well because we have to kind of teach them to be duplicatable. This reminds me as a teacher, I teach eighth grade every day. You start fresh with the kids. Like it doesn't matter where they were. I'm
Yeah.
happy you're here. I love you. Let's move forward. That just
Amen.
my connection. So thank you.
Andrew, that
Yeah,
was
for sure.
such a good question. So
Yeah,
good.
great
Christy,
question.
can I chime in really quick?
Yes.
Um, so I love this topic because Ray, I have learned from you just in the short period of time I've been in rank makers and challenges and the different stocking things that I've done, um, that there is something really powerful in connecting our teams to rank makers or to other things that you offer. I mean, like, yes, I want to know if you can guide us to those on our teams that want to work with you. Um, Kind of maybe you could give us an idea of like what different offerings you have and where they might fit in and where they are in their journey. And the reason I say this so much for all of you that are listening is because what, like Ray was saying, like we've all kind of been there where we've spent a lot of time trying to teach somebody, it's not
Yeah,
duplicatable, and then you're trying to do it over and over with each person. And
yeah,
I have just found in this short period of time, when I said, hey guys, I'm doing this challenge with Ray, do you want to do it with me? It's
yeah.
like I know we're all learning the same thing. It's way more valuable than I can ever teach, and so we're all on the same page, and there's some real value in that. So if you wouldn't mind, just kind of give us a little idea of like the different offerings you have and who they might be good for.
Yeah. I mean, right now we have, a really, great option in that I'm doing for the first time ever. I've done a lot of 5-day challenges over the years. I've done 14-day challenges, 5-day challenges, 3-day challenges. And this week, for the first time ever, I'm doing a 10x your sales challenge, which is stretching me and the content. I mean, this is for people that really want to stretch, right? If your goal is to get to $1,000 a month, it's not the challenge for you. If you're wanting to get 10,000 minimum, then okay, you might this is the place. And so I did do day one today, but you can actually catch the replay. But I think it's $27. It's like $27 or 47 if you want the 5 days of group coaching with it. So fairly affordable. But you can learn more at higdongroup.com/10x. higdongroup.com/10x. I'll just type it in there. I mean, that would be a great fast way to, know more about my training, know if you like it or not. No
Oh, good.
commitment or anything like that.
This girl.
Um, but
Hey,
what? And so so we have that going on. It just happens to be this week. So, that would be probably my biggest advice. If you're on here with big goals, I would definitely suggest that. I also have Rank Makers. So Rank Makers, I started in 2017, and we started tracking the results either late 2017 or early 2018. And we've helped network marketers bring in over 300,000 new customers, 71,000 new reps, and achieve 14,000 rank advances. And so, like, we know it works. I give you a daily action step every day. I give you a little mini training every day. Some days those videos are 4 minutes. Sometimes they're 6 or 7, but they're very doable. It's not a big production. But I do 5 days a week where I give you a training, and then I have a guest on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I do a prayer. And so Sunday is Sunday prayer. That's in Rank Makers. That is $27 a month. And so you can check that out at rankmakers.com. Of course, we have a whole bunch of books too, but I feel like the timing of it, if you got big goals, I would jump in at 10x, because it's fairly affordable. We go, you know, that'll be this week. So you can catch today's replay. Today's replay was the 6 points of thinking 10x, and just how to, think like a 10x person. Most people do not think like a 10x person. They think like a 2x person. Like, if I just do more, I'll get more. Well, okay, that's one way to think. But usually, if you continue to think that way, eventually you'll burn out. Eventually, you're like, I'm so exhausted. But if you start thinking 10x, it's actually you get to let go of some things. You get to, what, maybe I don't need to do that thing, but I need to ramp up this thing. And so that's what I would suggest.
Amazing.
And then I do. Andrea said I go live daily on Facebook. Yes, I do almost daily lives unless I'm traveling. So in our, we have if you have zero budget, my new YouTube channel is pretty stacked. And so, we got that too.
Amazing. Okay, we've got a question. Joyce has an amazing question. She's
Okay.
65. She's retiring from healthcare this month. She's stayed consistent in skincare and a makeup company. However, she's struggling to build a team. It's been very difficult. She feels that her age is a thorn, and she's pretty positive. She's pretty positive. She's a go-getter type of person. Wondering what your thoughts are on her age, especially with skincare and her demographic. My circle are women retiring. They're done in the workforce, and she needs a tip to attract a bit younger. So, is this a real thing? Thoughts?
Yeah. So maybe you need a tip to attract a bit younger. Maybe not. I wish I remembered her name. It was like as a Hawaiian name. Because she lived in Oahu, but she was 78 years old, and she consistently recruited 10 to 15 people a month, every month. She was just a rock star. And started with a C, but I can't remember the name. It was a kind of complicated name. And so age, because I know there was a girl on my team that, when she joined the team, she was 20 years old, and she just felt like no one ever took her seriously. And so, both ends of the spectrum, right? Some people say, "Oh, I'm too young. Feel like I'm too old." And I just, spent some time with her, and she ended up becoming the number one female earner in the company at 21, and then we got married a little bit later. That was my wife. And so, it's how we think dictates how we perceive reality. And the way that this works in neuroscience is so when we have thoughts, they start there. This is just, you have a neural network about everything in your life. You got a neural network about your age, about your phone, about your spouse, about your career, about your life. You have these neural networks. And as you have these thoughts and you accept, surrender, and believe them, it starts in the neocortex, but it'll go from the neocortex to the limbic brain, which is the chemical brain, the emotional brain. And that, if as we're getting in alignment with that thought, the limbic brain will create chemicals called amino acid peptides that will shoot down the spinal cord to hit the adrenal glands to create emotions, right? So they'll attach these little emotions to your cells, and now you're thinking a certain way and you're feeling the same way. And so the brain will check in with the body and say, hey, how you feeling? Oh, you're feeling that way. Let me have some corresponding thoughts. So pretty soon we're thinking, feeling, feeling, thinking, and we now have fully surrendered to that as a reality. And so if those thoughts are negative, it narrows our view. Okay. So it narrows the options we see in life. And so there are people that didn't bother coming on here tonight because they thought, why bother? I'm not in momentum, I'm too old, or I'm this or that. And so their options of, hey, if I get on this training, maybe I'll get inspired, that actually they're too negative. So they're like, it's probably the same old, same old. What's that guy got to say anyway? And so, it is negative. So they just didn't even show up. Same thing with prospecting, same thing with doing videos. Like, who wants to hear my story? My story is no good anyway. Your story may be the story that inspires other people like no other. So each of you have a story that I don't have. Those of you who've read my book, I mean, I grew up in an abusive home. I, been dead broke twice. There's a lot of, pieces to my story, but some of you have stories that would inspire people I could never inspire. But if you never share it, it doesn't matter. And so it's, we have to be willing to help the person we used to be. And there are people, there are women, I'll just say, that are women 65 and older that are looking for inspiration, but they're not finding it because, no one their age is playing big. Maybe you're the one that's supposed to play big. Maybe you're the one that's supposed to inspire them. Maybe you're the one that's going to lead an entire nation of 65-year-olds. I don't know. And so we want to, Joyce, I don't know if you're faith-based or not, but here we go. And so like, Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life's in the power of the tongue. So whatever we speak, we are creating. New Testament, Matthew 15:18 says, it's not what goes into your mouth that defiles you, but what comes out of it. And so as we speak, right, that, I'm too old or this or that, we are going to verify what we believe to be true. So we're going to locate evidence that, yes, that is true. It is harder for me. It would be easier for someone else. And so that again is the whole neuroscience that you're speaking. And so I would just fully recognize, like, the fastest growing demographic on TikTok is those over 50. It's actually been that way for a long time. And so I believe that there are plenty of people in your age that would love to have a side gig, that would love to have a side project, that would love to have some inspiration. I think one of the demographics that too few people are targeting is grandparents. Grandparents, man, don't they want to look better in pictures? Don't they want to be healthier around their grandkids? Yeah. And so maybe you're the one. Maybe you're the one that's called to do that. And so I would just encourage you, any kind of talk that doesn't serve you needs to be eradicated because there's someone in worse situations that's proving you wrong every day. There's someone that's older than you that's proving you wrong every day. There's someone that's not nearly as attractive as you, proving you wrong every single day. I remember seeing, I actually had him, he was actually in my organization at one point, but there was a guy he's since passed away, but there was a guy back in the 70s, a guy named Glenn Turner. And like I studied some of his marketing because I was so fascinated with it. This guy was 5 foot nothing, had a hair lip, had I'm sorry, Glenn, but had a really bad toupee. And, I mean, he grew up with no shoes, like he grew up in the wrong side of the tracks. This guy, he'd get up there, hey there, Glenn Turner, here, and he would do his dude everyone bought. Like it was amazing. Like he was just so inspiring. You're like, this guy's amazing. And he could let him lead us. And so it's what's your self-talk? I remember there's a book I read by Jack Welch. Jack Welch was the CEO of General Electric for 25 years. And it's funny, his mom showed him, and this guy was very confident. He was a very confident man and very successful, very successful. And his mom showed him a picture of him playing Little League. And he's looking at it and he's like, that's me? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, I was that short? She goes, you're the shortest kid everywhere we went. His self-talk was so powerful, he had no idea. He was like, what? This is me? Why am I so short? Was this different grades? And his mom's confused, like, you were the shortest kid every single place we went. What are you talking about? But his self-talk was so powerful, didn't notice, didn't pay attention to it. And so have self-talk like that. Have self-talk that you are a child of God, you're loved by God, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have talk like that with the Lord at your right hand, you cannot be shaken, and watch what happens. Because how we how we derive our language, and the first step to change anything in your life, change the way you describe it. As long as you keep telling it like it is, you will keep it like it is. So you only want to tell things like it is if you want to keep it like it is. But most people talk about the things they want to change all the time, but in the present situation. Don't do that. By the way, that's also biblical. When ye pray, pray as if you've already received. Mark 11:24. And so you want to say, God, thank you for helping me realize that my age is actually an asset. Imagine all these young chicks trying to get my crowd. They can't get my crowd. My crowd doesn't resonate with them. They resonate with me. I'm the leader of these. And so have talk like that and watch what happens. I hope that helps.
Oh, you're bringing we've got tears. We've been crying over here, Ray. We want to know what book recommendations. I know our time is limited. You have to be out of here right on the hour. So book recommendations.
Yeah, that depends. Someone asked me the other day, like, how many books have you written? I'm like, six, actually eight. It's eight books. So the latest book is Faith Driven Wealth. And this is great if you love God but struggle with money. Or if you have plenty of money, but you're always afraid you'll lose it. This tackles that very well, and biblical principles. So that's a good one. For those that were asking questions about, leadership and duplication, basically, so this is about 100 pages. I've coached, I don't know, well over 500, six, seven, eight-figure earners. And what I teach them for their team so that they are reducing their frustration, driving more duplication. And by the way, Brianna, because I coached her, for a few years, and she told me, she goes, you know why I'm crushing it over here, right? And I'm like, I don't know. Well, she went through a period where it was her and a few other leaders. I don't know if any are on here today. Christy, were you on there?
I wasn't on there, but Bree's on here.
Oh, is she? Oh,
Yeah, she's
awesome.
right. I see her right there.
I don't see her. Well, you tell them. I don't need to tell your story.
Well, no, I wasn't. I don't think I was on it.
Oh, oh, you said Bree was on here. That's
Oh
why.
no, Bree's on here. Bree, you should unmute.
Hi.
Hey.
There she is.
What story am I telling?
So when I congratulated you on how much you're crushing it in this company, you said,
Mhm.
you know why I'm crushing it, right? And I'm like, no. And you had hired me, and there were, I think, two other leaders, maybe three, and we had
Mhm.
gone through and built out an onboarding, not even in this company, but in your last company. And at least you told me, maybe you were just making me feel good that day, but you told me that it was doing that onboarding is what helped you create a lot of success over here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure. Ray's the best at systems.
Hmm.
And so he helped me set up all of my past and current systems. I actually thought you've given me so many breakthroughs. I actually thought you were talking about something else.
Oh,
'Cause I've always had a block with money. You were just talking about
mm,
money. And I
yeah,
remember you asked me what was the most money I'd ever earned. And I told you the amount and you said, what was the feeling you had around that? And I immediately remembered, of course, it was excitement and joy, but literally seconds later, it was fear
yeah,
because I was afraid that money was going to separate me from God. And
yes.
so when you helped
Big
me
breakthrough.
through that, and now I see like money is irrelevant to me. I just, through the through your trainings and then
Yeah.
people that you have collabed with, now I just picture myself as a river and God provides blessings of finances, money. It flows through me so that it can bless other people. And the money doesn't matter because money just actually furthers my relationship with God, furthers his kingdom blessings. And so now, like, my income has gone up, of course, since we did all that. And
Yeah.
it's just so cool. And now I see it doubling, tripling. Like, there's no limit to how much I can make because I'm not going to put a limit on
So
what God
cool.
needs to do. So,
Very cool. Very cool.
And
Yeah, that was a really cool. I remember that breakthrough of you felt like up to, I don't want to say an amount, but I remember the amount, but you felt like up to this, like you were good, but if you went past that, you were stretching and leaving
yeah,
God behind or something. And so like
yeah.
that was a deep breakthrough. That was really cool.
You guys should work with Ray. He's the best. I'll help you break down all your fears.
well,
It's been amazing. Even working with him for years, I still took a page of notes. It's always
Oh,
fresh and good content. Thank you.
oh, you're amazing.
amazing.
Um, so yeah, the leadership book. So basically, I took it's a long title. I know. If I had to do it over, I would do a shorter title, but it's Freakishly Effective Leadership for Network Marketing. And it basically, I took a lot of what I've done with all these different leaders over the years and just boiled it down to 100 pages. Like, how do you implement culture? Some of you, you need to implement boundaries because your team is just they're just used to calling on you all the time, and you've drawn the conclusion that if my team was bigger, then I'd be under more stress, and that's the worst conclusion. You need to see more people as freedom, not as reluctance or anything like that. And so that one again is freakishly effective leadership for network marketing. And then this one is if you are someone that's wondering how do you incorporate faith into your business, I would say the faith-driven network marketer. This one, this is really special. The chapter one is obedience, and it shares many times where God's nudged me to do something very uncomfortable, and it's a little crazy. It's a little crazy. But yeah, you can go on Amazon, look up Ray Higdon. But I would suggest just because the week we're in, jump into the 10x challenge because I'm really I purposely named it that to challenge me because I've never done a 10x challenge. So literally, I'm operating under a mantle of how do I 10x someone's sales, whether that's 1,000 a month or 100,000 a month. And so like I'm just that's what we're doing this week. I've only done day one so far. Day two's tomorrow, and check that out if you want.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm in, so I'm excited.
Yay.
Who's joining? I want to know who's joining. Put me in the chat. If you guys, I know a lot of you guys are picking up the books. The books are amazing. I love
Hmm.
Ray that they're short. They're easy to
Yes.
read. You can take it in a bite check. You don't get overwhelmed when you're looking like, you're like, oh yeah, I can get through this in an afternoon. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
So, all right, awesome, awesome. All right, I love doing challenges with people. So I love knowing that my people are going to be there. We're going to be doing it
Yeah.
together. And by the way, Ray, Bree is such a beautiful example for all of us.
She's awesome.
She is awesome. And she is one of the top leaders here in all of Remon. And she just loves people so much and it shows. And she
Oh,
just truly wants to see all of us win here. So everyone, please thank Ray. We're gonna let him go. He's got a hard stop in 2 minutes.
yeah.
And so if you guys want to all unmute and say again, thank you. I love ending that way. And we
Thank
appreciate
you.
you
Thank you
Thank
so
so
much.
you.
much.
Thank
So
you.
much.
Thank
Thank you, Ray.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ray.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Thank
You were
you.
awesome, Ray. Thank you.
Thank
oh,
you.
thank
So
you.
good.
So
Thank you so
good.
much.
Bye.
Yes.
Salamat
Thanks,
po.
Ray.
Gracias.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.